To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When indiscreet doors change.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are talking Genie Plus and Memory Maker. But first, a word from Brian Lewis.
Hello, Mikhailo Naherniak. God, that's a mouthful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so we are going to talk PhotoPass, Genie Plus, as you said. We got an email from Van Obi-Wan, and here it goes. Hey, y'all. Love the pod. I'm a West Coast Canadian and frequent Disney visitor. Disneyland is my home park, although I'm not a magic key holder. Just wondering if you might be interested in doing an episode on how to use the PhotoPass now at Disneyland and at Disney World. Disney World just changed their program to a memory maker or something. It seems really expensive and a bit confusing when things were just fine with adding it into Genie Plus. It doesn't need to be an entire episode. I guess I just want to hear more opinions on the increase and change. Thanks in advance and keep up the good work. Well, Van Obi-Wan, we have a lot to say about that. As far as Memory Maker, which I'm a big proponent of, we'll get into Genie Plus, and we'll talk a little virtual queue too along the way. Before we do, as we always do, please go share it with a friend. I'm going to take this from Park to Park Pod. Share it with a friend or an enemy. They just finished their third season, which I think is pretty awesome for them. So
Congratulations,
to
guys.
them. So yeah, go share the show with a friend or enemy, as they would say. And it would be great if you could hit the subscribe button. And if you're so inclined, leave a review on Apple Podcasts for us. It would really help the show. So, Mikhailo, let's start with PhotoPass.
Okay.
And let's start with Disneyland PhotoPass, since that's what Van Obi-Wan seems to be familiar with.
Yes.
So, Disneyland's PhotoPass, you can buy it for the week. They call it PhotoPass Plus 1 week. And it's $78 for the week. And back in February, when you and I were out there, that's what my family did, is we paid for the PhotoPass Plus because we love PhotoPass. We think that the ability to get all of those pictures for one price is absolutely worth it. They have added a component of PhotoPass to Genie Plus. So if you pay for the daily Genie Plus service, and we'll get into that in a little bit, Genie Plus itself, but if you pay for that starting at $25 a day, then you get access to on-ride photos, but only on-ride photos. So if you want to get access to all the PhotoPass pictures that you get while you're there, and this is if you're standing in front of the castle and a cast member takes your picture and scans your magic band or scans your card, ticket, whatever it is, this is how you get those pictures. If you don't pay the package price, you can still go on after the fact and order them like photo by photo, and that is kind of pricey to do that. So I always look into using PhotoPass before we go and at whatever that price might be.
Yeah, and Disney World is pretty similar. The prices are actually quite a bit higher though. There's 3 different ways to do it with Disney World. You've got your like before you even go on your trip, you can add it on to your trip. That's $169 for your entire trip, all of the days that you have scheduled on your trip. And then if you don't do that and you get to the park and you decide that you want this for your whole trip, it's actually $199 for your whole trip. But then after the fact, if you just want like a single day, so you just want your Magic Kingdom photos, you just want your Hollywood Studio photos, it's $69.99 just for one day, and then you get all of your downloads. You get ride photos, you get any photos that you get taken by cast members or anything. um, and that's kind of the breakdown. I've done it before where one thing to keep in mind, and I'm pretty sure this is the same thing with Disneyland as well, is you get, I think it's like 30 days to download all of your pictures, and then they start disappearing.
It's
Um,
45.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
I've definitely done it before where I've called Disney and been like, "Oh, hey, so these just disappeared on me. Um, can I get these back so that I can download them all?" And that also is a separate charge. And I think it's like $19.99 to like give yourself an extra like week or something to download all the pictures. So that's the if you get to that point, that's the other charge. That if you don't download all the pictures that you wanted, you can do that, but it's an extra charge.
Right. And at 19.99, like they're giving you 6 weeks to download those, Mikhailo. So uh, hurry up and get out there and do it before that 45 days is up.
Exactly.
So when it comes to Memory Maker over in Disney World, that's what they call it there. The 169 price, the like pre-arrival price that you pay, you need to do that 2 days before you start taking pictures. And if you don't, or I guess it's before your arrival date, because it's kind of part of your package deal if you add that on. So if you get there and you decide you want to order or get the Memory Maker, then it becomes $199 and you still have to wait a day, I believe. I've
No,
never
I've definitely done it before where I bought it at the park and started taking pictures and gotten those pictures.
Okay. So then yeah, to get that price, that early price, you need to do it 2 days before, and then it's $199 once you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure that we clarified that piece of it. A lot of the pictures that you get are not necessarily on ride photos, but they'll, like as we talked about, around the park, you're going to get pictures in front of the castle. You're going to find PhotoPass people in random spots that are great places to take pictures. Maybe in Adventureland, maybe in Galaxy's Edge. I know there's a few camped out in front of the Millennium Falcon. So you find them all over. When we were at Disneyland, we didn't see them as often as we had hoped. I know we saw them in front of the castle, obviously. I remember getting pictures in a couple places in Galaxy's Edge. There were some places in California Adventure that they had pictures, but we didn't get as many places as we thought we would get, because at Disney World, it seems like you can find them everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be the reasoning in the price difference. But also, I think Disneyland's kind of a different animal when it comes to the type of guests that they get, and having that cheaper price may be necessary to get people to use the service. Because people that go there are more locals and they go there a lot, so they may not use it as often. Another spot that they've done this is with the the build your own lightsaber at Savi's workshop. It's actually $219 out at Disneyland and $249 at Disney World, and that's due to popularity. When I did it at Disneyland, it was me and one other guy building a lightsaber. So, and it's hard to get a reservation in Disney World. Just to show you kind of what you're dealing with there. So, yes, it is more expensive in Disney World, but I think you're also going to get more pictures out of it too.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about it is, so I'm not a local yet at Disney World, and I feel like what you see at Disney World more, are those vacationers where it's like either they come once a year or a couple times a year, or this is like their one big blowout Disney trip that like they're going to try to do all the Disney things and then that's it. So you've got people uh spending all of their vacation money on these trips. And so I definitely think it's pretty overpriced. I mean, like 199 for like a week full of pictures. Definitely seems kind of like it's overpriced, but I've always just kind of lumped that into what I'm spending on the vacation. So it feels less of a spend because I'm on vacation and because like I've already like saved up the money for the vacation, so it's just going into that. But if you look at it as a local, even if you're just going to do one day, that's like $70 for the pictures that you would take in one day. So yeah, it's looking through it with those two lenses of the vacationer and the local. I can definitely see that, like, I mean, prices are pretty steep for kind of like what you're getting, but then at the same time, we love PhotoPass now. And it's funny, I have to go on this tangent a little bit. And maybe my mother is listening, but back in the day, I used to hate stopping and taking pictures. Like my mom, we would be on trips and she would constantly be trying to stop us to like take pictures places. And we would always just be like, no, we gotta go. We gotta go to Everest or something like that. And now that I'm older and I appreciate these memories, uh, we're all about it. Like we love it. Like we get Memory Maker almost every time we go. And now that we're annual pass holders, that's lumped into our annual pass. So that's one other thing that I'll mention too is that when you buy annual pass, you can add on. Well, it's not lumped in. You can add on Memory Maker to your annual pass, and I think it's only $199, but then you get Memory Maker for the entirety of your annual pass. So it's like you're paying that normal rate for like what your like typical vacation would be, but then you get it for like all of the vacations that you're going to be going on because it stays the length of your annual pass. So kind of a little bit of a hack there. If you're going to buy an annual pass, add Memory Maker to it because then you just get those for the entirety of your annual pass.
That's a nice benefit that they're including in there as well for all of you that are able to have that annual pass. Someday I will get there.
Brian,
but
you are able to. You can do it. Nobody's stopping you.
I understand that, but I don't have the ability to take that many trips right now. So
Again, nobody's stopping you.
I my kids. Anyway, um so getting back to your point about taking pictures all over the place, right? Like we went in 2012. It was the first time we took our kids, and PhotoPass was a thing at that point, and this is at Disney World. But Memory Maker was not a thing yet. So when we came home to look at downloading or purchasing pictures back then was a hefty bill. And we had some nice pictures that we had taken, some favorites that we ended up getting, and I put them all into a calendar and bought that. It was it was the cheapest option of getting printed pictures. So we have a few of those pictures in a calendar that I keep meaning to cut them out and scan them, but I should probably do that. But that that was kind of the beginnings, right? Like they kind of dangled it out there to see if it would work, if people would be interested, and we all came home and said, boy, it'd be nice if they just give me one package price. And they did. The next time we went, we had the option for Memory Maker. We bought it, we went and used it, and I remember getting eye rolls left and right because I'd say, hey, look, there's another photographer. And we'd stop and take the picture. And we had almost 700 pictures when we got home. Um, and that sounds like a lot. It is a lot. But as the years have gone by and I go through looking at them and, using them for our podcast now, when I'm putting things out about the show, uh, like it's invaluable having that. And one of the things they use to sell it, and one of the things that I'll tell people as you are looking at whether you want to buy it or not, is that the fact that everyone can be in the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a selfie to get everyone in the picture. You have somebody there. So getting these great looking pictures in front of all these different iconic spots in the parks, and then some, like, to me, that's invaluable. Your mom was taking all those pictures, but she was never in them.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to one more tip with PhotoPass, is that the PhotoPass people will take pictures of you with their camera, but you can also hand them your phone then, and they will take a couple pictures with your phone as well. So don't be afraid to do that. Knowing that you're going to be getting those PhotoPass pictures into your account, you don't necessarily need to have them. They don't know you don't have Memory Maker. They think you're just using it, right? But then you can hand off your phone and ask for a few more pictures and get everyone in that picture. So it depends on how you want your pictures taken, but a lot of PhotoPass photographers will do that as well. So, um, if you're paying for Genie Plus and you're more worried about just getting the on-ride photos and that comes with your Genie Plus, maybe stop in front of the castle, have them use your phone for a couple pictures, and you're good, right? Like, that's one way to save a little bit of money. So I personally love Memory Maker. I love PhotoPass. It was great in Disneyland as well. So definitely, I will tell you to get into Memory Maker. Buy it, use it. I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the interesting things that I found, this was on one of our trips that we were on, and we walked into the Grand Floridian, and just like right in like that main atrium area, they have PhotoPass cast members. So they have them in more places than just the parks. And we thought that was awesome because we love these hotels, and it was so cool to be able to go there and be like, oh my god, they have a PhotoPass cast member here. And so we took photos there. They actually, another time that we went, we walked in and they had a special, this was at the Grand Floridian, and they had a special photo op with Cinderella's slipper that we were able to do,
Oh,
just like
cool.
right, yeah, it was just like right in there, and there wasn't really that much of a line because it's in a hotel. Like, who would have thought that there would be PhotoPass cast members in these hotels? But
Right.
that's, they have them pretty much everywhere, which I think is awesome. In that, just seeing that, um, kind of really made it worth it, because we love having these photos and kind of documenting our trips. In fact, like just last night, we were looking through photos because Kristen texted me just the other day. She was like, we were going to the Halloween party just a year ago. And just like thinking about that, like brought on memories, and we were able to go in, and interesting, they call it Memory Maker. Uh, and just going through and looking at those photos, and just like reliving the trip that we were on a year ago. Um, was really cool, and so we value it a lot. So we use it almost every single time we go. We didn't use it at land, and again, kind of bringing it back to that, where like I just felt like I didn't see them in as many places in land than world. Then it makes sense because world um, is much more spread out, the Magic Kingdom. And so you can kind of stick people in like these areas, and it won't kind of like clump up and like make it so that like there's like a traffic jam. But I feel like in land that could definitely happen, with kind of how small the park is compared to World. So I mean that definitely makes sense that they don't want to like obstruct any kind of like um maneuverability for like these areas or anything like that.
Right. And that, that'll bring me around to my last tip for any of the PhotoPass is when you're in Disneyland, and this goes for any picture you take. And this is, you know, out in front of the castle. This is out by, anything, but also on ride photos. Like the biggest thing for me with the on ride photos is that in Disney World, because of the use of magic bands there, you don't need to swipe anything or scan anything to get your photos. They will automatically download into your account. That doesn't work at Disneyland. Hopefully, now that they've introduced Magic Band Plus, at some point that'll hopefully happen. But as of right now, and we missed out on a couple of pictures because of this, you need to go to the station where they're showing all the pictures and scan your Magic Band or your ticket, or at least take a picture of the photo because it will give you
Hmm.
the code, and then you enter that code into your Disneyland account and it'll give you the picture in your PhotoPass. Um, so that's, like that's very important that you do that so that you can get your pictures. It's it, like I said, we lost a couple of pictures along the way because I didn't realize we needed to capture that code or scan something. So
Yeah,
definitely.
that's definitely something that I was going to mention too. The way that on ride photos work. Um, and that's just because in World they've added those RFID. Um, it's so the cool thing about RFID is that it can be um, if you've got like a larger generator, you can be just kind of over by something and it'll scan your RFID tag, which is cool and kind of terrifying at the same time because you've also sometimes have financial information on those things. But the good thing is that I mean Disney's a big company. They encrypt all of that stuff. It goes. Um, I don't even think that your bank account is linked to any of that stuff. It would just go straight to the room. So all of a sudden you'd see all these charges on a room and be like, that wasn't me. um,
Yeah.
but that is something that people get kind of weird about. But don't worry about that too much.
Yeah. I everyone always says, how do I attach my credit card to my Magic Band? I've
Hmm.
never known it to work like that. Um,
Nope.
you attach you attach your room
Hmm.
to your Magic Band, and then you're charging back to your room along the way, which is better because then you can choose how you want to pay for it later.
Hmm.
You can go down nightly and use gift cards at the front desk to pay for your charges, um, instead of it going to your bank if you don't want it to go there. And this is where when they ask you to leave a card on file at the desk, at the front desk, whether it's virtual check-in or you're right there at the desk, this is those incidentals, and they charge them nightly. So you can go down there at the end of your day and say, I want to make a payment towards things if you have a bunch of gift cards you want to use.
Hmm.
Um, just another hack there. But we've gone pretty long winded on PhotoPass, a lot more than I thought we would. Let's talk a little bit about Genie Plus. This is where I wanted you involved because I have not been fortunate enough to use Genie Plus yet. I did not feel it was necessary to spend the extra $125 a day for my family to get Genie Plus when we were at Disneyland. And it wasn't, our waits were no more than a half hour at any ride, except when we made our mistake at Monsters Inc. and when we decided to rope drop Rise of the Resistance. Um, but it seems like it's something that's necessary at Disney World. So I know you've used it a lot there, and you have some thoughts. So give them to us.
Yeah, I'll give you guys just kind of a quick rundown. Genie Plus is kind of the new Fast Pass. It's virtual in kind of the same way. the later Fast Pass was. Um, but something new with Genie Plus is the fancy rides, as what Molly says, and those are the individual Lightning Lane attractions. Lightning Lane is really what Fast Pass used to be. That's what it's called now. But yeah, if you buy Genie Plus, then you have the ability to make these Lightning Lanes. Um, you can make them right away at 7 a.m. And I believe they've kind of been like adjusting this so that um, before it was you could make one at 7 a.m. and then you could make one at Park Open. They've adjusted that now. Now at Park Open, your 120 minutes start. So you make one right away, and then once the park opens, you have to wait 120 minutes, and then you can make another one. Or it's 120 minutes or whatever comes first. So if you make a lightning lane for like right away in the day, um, and you use that lightning lane, then you can use your next lightning lane. There are ways. Well, I mean, honest, there used to be ways to stack lightning lanes, and I mean, you can stack lightning lanes if you want to push your lightning lanes way out into the future. Um, so there's the ability to do that, and you can also technically stack lightning lanes by buying an individual lightning lane, which there's only one individual lightning lane in each park. And the only thing about individual lightning lanes is it's an individual cost. And so um, you don't have to get Genie Plus if you don't want to, and you could still buy that individual lightning lane because it's a separate cost. So you're paying to skip the line in that one individual attraction, whereas you're paying to skip the line in anything that has a lightning lane when you buy Genie Plus.
So I hear a lot of confusion out there about Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes, Genie, and how all of that works. And so I just wanted to take a step back and kind of clarify a little bit about what you were saying. Genie is the free service that they created as a way to then call something Genie Plus. That's what I like to think of it as.
Mhm.
The Genie service that is free will help you plan your day. Don't ever listen to what they tell you, though. It's not good. And at this point, it seems like Disney feels that this is like the ugly stepsister, that they don't want to have to deal with that piece of it. It's the Genie Plus that they'll deal with because that's what makes them money. Um, if you want a service like Genie, go to Touring Plans and use them. They're much better at it, and you're going to get more out of it. Now, Genie Plus is a system that gets you access to lightning lanes, as you said. And that will allow you, as they like to say, 2 or 3 lightning lanes. And you can stack those, although you're not necessarily able to pick the times that you get them. But when you start stacking, you're in that edit mode, where you might want to change or modify. That's the word I'm looking for. Modify. That's the term they use. If you want to modify your lightning lane reservation, you can do that and pick a later time. And that's what you're doing when you're stacking, is you start picking later times, and that allows you to then modify those reservations and use them all in the evening. And maybe at Hollywood Studios, that's something that you could do that with, where you can put a lot of the big rides in the evening and you can catch all the shows during the day because the shows don't run in the evenings. So yeah, and then beyond that is those individual lightning lanes where you don't need to have Genie Plus to use them. You can buy those separately even if you don't have Genie Plus. So we did not do any of that in Disneyland, as I said, because it's a lot of money when you're multiplying that by 5, and I didn't see the point in it. So definitely consider how it's going to work for you. Like when we go for spring break, in 2024, I am going to plan to pay for it because for Genie Plus, because it's going to be nuts. It's spring break. I was looking at DVC charts for like Polynesian. The most expensive weeks for points, for DVC points to use, is the week of after Christmas and the week of spring break that we're going to be there, which is the last week of March. Um, we were there in 2019 for spring break. It was insane. We're going back, and it's going to be insane, I'm sure. So I'm just going to use it because it really helps. You can get more done.
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point now where Kristen and we use it a lot, and we have found, and it's funny, I haven't done this before on trips until I started going with Kristen, and that was riding certain rides more than once. So it's like if you see um, that there's a low wait time, just like get in line, ride it, and then you could use a lightning lane later for it. And that's something that we found we were able to do with Genie Plus. If you utilize Genie Plus in the correct way, um, you can get a lot done. I would steer clear of just like picking the the most popular ride right away and just being like, oh, like that's we have to plan that one first, because most likely you're going to be waiting 120 minutes because these Genie Plus selections fill up fast. So you really kind of have to be judicious about like what what you pick and when. Um, Another thing that I'll say is, um, I mean, and again, Brian said like it's not worth it for me. A family of five, that is an expensive Genie Plus day. Um, Also, something to be aware of is that it's tiered pricing, so it could change. How much it is at Magic Kingdom is not going to be how much it is at Animal Kingdom, and how much it is on in September, like a random day in September, is not how much it's going to be like on Christmas Day. So it just kind of depends on how much, like what it's priced at, but still like almost $20 a person. That's expensive, and it
Uh,
adds up.
we've seen busy days reach 35
Exactly.
per person. So don't think $20. I don't even know that it'll be as low as $20 ever again. Most of the days that I've watched live streams over the last month, it's started at $27.
Hmm.
So, um, and that's either Magic Kingdom or the Hopper is $27, and it's lower if like I've seen Epcot at 17, I think. And that kind of goes along with how many rides you can get for your money within the Genie Plus system. So,
Hmm. So with that, I mean, it can be expensive, but if it's just you, or if it's just you and somebody else, or even if it's just three of you and you feel um, like it would be worth it. Even places like Epcot, where we've had this thought before, where we're like, do we really need it for Epcot? Or, I mean, like, do we really need it for Animal Kingdom? Um, we've done Genie Plus at both of these places, and probably the coolest thing you can do with Genie Plus is just make a lightning lane for like 5 minutes in the future. That's like probably the coolest thing to be able to do. And that can happen some places where like maybe it's kind of a down day, or maybe a lot of these rides don't like, they're not really like pulling um, the people into Genie Plus for it. Like there have been times at Epcot where we've been able to do that, like in the afternoon, just kind of like, oh, we want to ride Living with the Land, make a lightning lane. Oh, we can ride it in 5 minutes. So basically, you just make a lightning lane and then you like walk on to into the lightning lane. Um, so that is great. Now, is that worth it if you're a family of five? I mean, that's honestly up to you. Um, and understand it's not always going to be like that. I mean, very rarely have we been able. I don't think we've ever actually been able to do stuff like that at Magic Kingdom, because I feel like it's just always going to be like people are always going to be utilizing Lightning Lane in that way. Hollywood Studios is kind of the same. It's You're really never going to be able to utilize Genie Plus in that way. But Animal Kingdom and Epcot, there are those times where you may be able to just kind of like roll into these lightning lanes and not have to stand in the regular queue. So that is something that we've found before. That I mean, we liked that. That was really great to be able to just like book a lightning lane and walk right on. Um, but yeah, that's something that we enjoyed, and we use Genie Plus almost every time we go to Disney. Again, it's kind of one of those, just like lumping it into um like our typical vacation expenses.
And I thought we should just point out real quick, you only get a lightning lane one use per day per ride. So if you use lightning lane on Peter Pan, that's it. You don't get to use a lightning lane again that day.
Hmm.
Um, but you get to use, lightning lane on something else. So you might get 17 rides at Magic Kingdom that you can use it on, but you can only use it once per ride. So
Correct.
um, just another thing to consider as you're going through your planning for this.
Hmm.
Um, is that it? Did we say everything we need to say?
I think so. Yeah, I enjoy, this is just kind of like my overview of like using technology and the app and everything with Disney. I enjoy this. Some people kind of get all um disgruntled about like, oh, people are on their phones all the time. And it's like, if I'm able to get off a ride, book a lightning lane, and then order food and just show up somewhere and pick it up, like that's awesome. So just kind of like utilizing these apps, and all of these things that Disney gives you. Now, I do totally understand that like the novice Disney person may not know a lot of this, and kind of like the older generation, people who don't want to be using phones on their vacation, this might kind of cause some stress points. But Disney does a good job of helping you along the way. There are several places that you can go to either like just straight up make lightning lanes, or make dining reservations, or order food online. There, if you go to any of these like customer service kiosks, I forget what they're called.
I like to call them the blue umbrellas.
Blue umbrellas, yeah. But if you go to any of these places, they'll help you out. At one point, Kristen and we were at Animal Kingdom, and we had a flight at like 8 p.m. and or maybe it was earlier. It was like 6 p.m. And the lightning lane that we tried to get for, I think it was probably like Flight of Passage, was for like 6 p.m. And we literally just went up to like the customer service people, and we're like, hey, like this is what's going on. Like, we're definitely not going to be able to make this. Like, is there any way that we can find something else? And it was kind of cool because they, for the most part, they just kind of did what we would have done, where like we just kind of fiddle faddled, and then they sat there and fiddle faddled for a little bit. If you don't know what that means, that's when you're trying to modify your lightning lane, and you just kind of keep pulling down on the times that they're giving you to see if new times pop up. They were doing that a couple times, just trying to see if they could just naturally get us something, and then eventually, like, it just wasn't working. So they just gave us um, uh, redeemable lightning lanes that we got. Like, they just scanned those into our My Disney experience. Um, so there are definitely things that you can do if you don't want to deal with technology. Like, Disney's there to help if you don't want to deal with all that.
That's a really good point. because there are a lot of times that maybe your phone might go dead, or you just don't want to use a phone. Or, I've seen this billboard lately that has an old flip phone on it and says, "These phones can be smart too." And it's more of a campaign to get you to use them for your kids, to teach them how to responsibly use a phone instead of getting hooked on a phone. Um, so maybe you just have you have a flip phone. You don't have a smartphone
You
to
got a
use
dumb
all
phone.
day. You get a dumb phone. So that, like, that's why they're there.
Mhm.
But also realize that anytime I've gone past some of those, like, there's usually a line of
Yeah.
people. So it might take extra time to go to those and get that help. So make sure you need that help.
Anyways, but yeah, just give it a try.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's fairly intuitive. The Disney ecosystem, the internet ecosystem isn't always that great. Things will crash, like stuff like that will happen, but I mean that happens kind of everywhere. So do expect that. But if you just kind of jump in there and you have an open mind and you give it a try, you'll probably be able to figure it out and get done what you want to get done.
Well said. So come on out to Instagram and Facebook. Let us know how you feel about Memory Maker and PhotoPass plus 1 week over at Disneyland. And let us know if you enjoy using that system. And then if you have tips or anything we may have forgotten with Genie Plus, we'd love to hear about it. You can definitely let us know out on Facebook and Instagram. As I said, we are at Miles from Main Street. And if you feel so inclined, we would love it if you'd try our voicemail system. If you go to our website, www.milesfrommainsT.com, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to find a microphone. And if you click on that, you can leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the show. Let us know your thoughts on Genie Plus or on the PhotoPass system. As always, thanks for listening.
But like we always say, some live close,
But others don't.
so let's talk about it. We'll see you guys next time on Miles from Main Street.